Hi class, and welcome to your first lesson. Today we will be reviewing solving one-step equations. This is going to be off the books because the book jumps straight into solving variables on both sides, and Mr. Noor and I decided that we needed to do a little bit of a review before we jump straight into that. So today we are going to learn about 4 different properties. We have the addition property of equality, the subtraction property of equality, the multiplication property of equality, and the division property of equality. These first 2 slides, you don't need to write down all of these words, symbols, and examples. They're just here so you can see and understand that when you are doing all of these steps, there is a property that goes with all of this and is the reason why you do it like this. So first we have the addition property of equality, which means if a number is added to each side of a true equation, the resulting equivalent equation is also true. The symbols for that is for any real numbers a, b, and c, if a is equal to b, then a plus c is equal to b plus c. For the subtraction property of equality, we have if a number is subtracted from each side of a true equation, the resulting equivalent equation is also true. In symbols, that means for any real numbers a, b, and c, if a is equal to b, then a minus c is equal to b minus c. So I know went through that really fast. If you need to pause the video, take a moment, read these again, maybe listen to them again, whatever you need to do, it is your time to process and learn this information at your own pace. The reason that I'm going through them really fast is because we're going to get into some examples of how to use these properties in order to solve equations, and I want to get to that part of the lesson faster because I think that that is going to help these make more sense. So next we have the multiplication property of equality, which is if an equation is true and each side is multiplied by the same non-zero number, then the resulting equation is equivalent. So in symbols, that means for any real numbers a, b, and c, if a equals b, then ac is equal to bc. And finally, we have the division property of equality. In words, that means if an equation is true and each side is divided by the same, hold on, I'm going to emphasize this, non-zero number, then the resulting equation is equivalent. Remember, we cannot divide by 0. In symbols, that means for any real numbers a, b, and c, c is not equal to 0. Then if a is equal to b, then a divided by c is equal to b divided by c. All right, so let's get into some important notes. Now, if this happens to go too fast for how you take notes, please pause it and process the information as you need. This slide right here is going to be so important to write down and to have at the front of your notebook, the front of your notes, wherever you're putting it so that you see it all the time, because most of this unit is focused on this right here, opposite operations. So the opposite operation of addition is going to be subtraction. So if the opposite of addition is subtraction, then the opposite of subtraction is addition. All right, here's an example. Say I have $25, and then I go and spend $25. I have $0 left, right? I was at a positive 25 and I subtracted $75. There is nothing left that I have. That is how they are opposites. They cancel each other out. They leave 0 if you add or subtract the same number. So then next we have multiplication and division. The opposite of multiplication, I'm sure this is coming as no surprise now, is division. Which then leaves the opposite of division to be multiplication. So if I am, say, I have x, and say I multiply x by 6. If I turn around and I divide that result by 6, I'm going to get 1x, right? Anything divided by itself is 1. And if I have 1x, well, what's anything multiplied by 1? It's itself. So that's how they are opposites. They cancel each other out in the way that they create 1. So, and maybe none of this is coming as a shock to you, because oftentimes you see addition and subtraction paired, multiplication and division paired. It's for reasons like this. So finally, I want you to write the symbols. So we have addition is the opposite of subtraction. They are opposites of each other, thus the double-headed arrows. And multiplication is the opposite of division. All right, take a moment to pause the video to think about this slide here, its importance, and going forward, we are going to go on to some examples now. So here we have the addition and subtraction property of equality. So if I have x minus 8 equals 16, how do I solve for x? Well, I know that the addition property of equality says that if I add the same number to both sides, the resulting equation is still true. So if I have x minus 8, I'm going to want to add 8 to both sides to cancel that out. So we go plus 8 plus 8. Okay, I'm going to bring my equal sign down. And I'm left over here, if it was negative 8 degrees out and it warmed up 8 degrees, we are at 0 degrees. Nothing left there. All we have is x. So then finally we just have to do some simple arithmetic. 16 plus 8 is 24. Now let's take a moment. We're not going to go on to the next example yet because I want to make sure that this answer is true, that this is the correct solution. So I'm going to take x equals 24. So I'm going to plug 24 back in for x here. So if I do that, I replace x with 24 minus 8 is equal to 16. Well, let's check if that's true. 24 minus 8 is equal to 16. Well, then we get 16 is equal to 16. Is that statement true? Always true. Great, that means we got the right answer. Say I had gotten x equals 25. All right, if I plug that back in, I get 25 minus 8 is equal to 16. Well, 25 minus 8 is equal to 17. 17 is equal to 16. Nope, that's never true. So if I got 25 in this case and I put it in and I checked it and it does not, you do not get something like this, two equal numbers, go back, check your work, and figure out and try it again until you get what you need. So I'm going to erase this for space here. All right, so our next one we have x minus 23 is equal to negative 4. So we're going to do the same thing. We have a negative 23. We want to zero that out, so we're going to do the opposite operation, which is addition. We're going to do the same number. All right, so we carry the equal sign down. We get negative 23 plus 23 is 0, so we carry our x down. And then we get negative 4 plus 23 is going to give us 19. All right, next we are going to do a little bit of our subtraction property of equality. So here we have addition. We know the opposite operation of addition is subtraction. We're going to subtract the same number that's here on the same side as the variable. And what we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. So we carry down our equal sign. We get positive 25 minus 25. This goes back to the same example I just said in the previous slide with $25 and I spent it all. I'm left with $0. So I carry my x down. And we get negative 8 minus 25. That is going to give us a negative 33. Finally, I want you to pause the video and I want you to try this last equation on your own. All right, I will go through it. I will write out an answer step by step, and then you can check your work with my work. All right, if you did not get x equals negative 11, go back, see what I did in that one step, what you might have done, and let's move on to our next slide. So now we are doing the multiplication and division property of equality. So going back to this slide, we know multiplication and division are opposites of each other. So we are going to use that knowledge to help us solve these equations. So if you see this slash sign, that is a division. And if you see me do something like this, a dot, that is multiplication. So here we have x divided by 8 equals 5. So we're going to do the opposite of a division is multiplication. We're going to use the same number that's on the side of the same side of the variable. And what we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. We carry our equal sign down. So we get x divided by 8 times 8 is going to leave us with 1x. Anything times 1 is itself, so we're left with x. And 5 times 8 is equal to 40. Just like I did in the previous slide, I'm going to take a second here to check this solution by plugging 40 back in for x right here. So we get 40 divided by 8 equal to 5. Well, 40 divided by 8 is 5. So we get 5 equals 5. Yep, that means our solution is correct because that equation right there is always true. All right, so let's do x divided by 9 is equal to negative 63. So the opposite of division is multiplication. Do the same number that's on the same side as the variable. We do multiplied by 3. So we're left with just 1x over here because we did divided by 9 times 9. Carry our equal sign down. Oh man, negative 63 times 9. That's quite a big number. So let's grab our calculators and we're going to do negative 63 times 9. And we get is equal to negative 567. All right. So now we are going to switch gears just a little bit. We have 15x is equal to negative 60. So we divide because we're multiplying here. If you see a number right next to a variable, that's multiplication. So we're going to divide by 15. What we do to one side, we do to the other. Divide by 15. So we get 15 divided by 15 gives us 1x. Bring down our equal sign. Negative 60 divided by 15 is equal to negative 4. And finally here, I want you to pause the video and try this one on your own. I will do it as well, and then you can follow along after you've done it by yourself. All right, you should have gotten x equals 8 as your solution. My allotted 15 minutes for this video is coming to an end, so that's good because we're at the end of our video. So you can move on to the homework problems that have been assigned for this, and then we will review multi-step equations in just a few minutes.